What's going on, people? How you doing? It's MUGZY, upcoming hip-hop artist from Sydney, Australia, of the land down under. And right now I'm going to do this vlog, I guess you can say, interview video about myself, how I started to get into hip-hop, how I embraced the culture to its core within myself and my daily life, and hopefully it just shreds some inspiration to whoever's listening to this audio, whether it's, you want to get into hip hop, whether you're an upcoming artist or just, at a stop point in your career and you want to push forward, but this is for the Manada Nation or the Manada Nation. Hopefully I pronounced that right, guys, or maybe it's just my Australian accent, but you guys know who you are, and I appreciate this opportunity because, like I said, any opportunity is a great opportunity. We're getting my name out there to the world, whether it be, here within Australia or worldwide. It don't even matter if it literally gets me, my name, MUGZY, out there to the world, or even you guys, because networking is key within the hip-hop community, within the music industry, and vice versa. If you can help me, I can help you, But, I'm not going to ramble on. I'm just going to get into this. And like I said, hopefully it shreds some insight. So I'm going to flip the script and take you back in time because I'm 28. I started doing hip-hop music or really knowing about the culture of it at the age of 14. So that was roughly 14 years ago. In the thousands era, people say it's the thousands, the platinum era, because everyone was wearing the platinum chains and the jewelry and the baggy clothes, and we had artists like the Three Horsemen, which was Eminem, 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, Jay-Z, Cameron, and Damon Dash, the Diplomats, the South, which was Chameleon and Paul Wall, just like a whole ton of artists, and around that time, being 14, I was kind of one of those wild and out teens, rolling with the wrong crowds, fighting through my adolescence of mental health and depression, and just having a chip on my shoulder kind of vibe. Some teenagers can relate to it growing up, but some really, I guess, take a full throttle and just really, I guess, hate on their peers and hate on like the atmosphere and society around them because they've just got maybe like a problematic vibe about them, and I fell into that category of just dark eternal depression and just wilding out. And around that time of the 2000s, I remember coming home from school and just seeing these shows like MTV, BET, VH1 and 106 and Park and Freestyle Fridays, and just seeing these guys like rip the mics and just have this like raw aggression about them through this culture of hip-hop, of whatever problem they were going through in their society or their atmosphere or their culture or neighborhood. They knew how to flip the script and turn that negative into a positive through this rhythm and poetry of hip-hop. And I was so attracted to that, to try and, I guess, dabble into the wordplay of rhyme and tell my story in a sense. But starting off around that early thousands vibe, 8 Mile dropped, and I'm just gonna put this out there: every white boy that saw that film, from the white suburbs, wanted to do the battle rap thing and wanted to pull the Eminem act. And honestly, some flipped it to that wigger bullshit, but there was some that really wanted to embrace hip-hop to its core. And starting off, man, like I would say, yeah, I really mimicked a lot how M used to write, like his real psychotic kind of menacing wordplay and stories he used to tell. If you've listened to the Slim Shady LP or the Marshall Mathers LP, a lot of the hip-hop heads know what I'll be talking about, that real Slim Shady kind of vibe, which was twisted lyricism and twisted messages. And I sort of written it in my own terms, but that was more therapeutic to get my anger out there instead of just popping a pill or seeing a shrink for like about an hour, which would cost you an arm and a leg just to see him for 1 hour. It's kind of theft in a sense. But when I started to become more mature and realized there was more of an avenue and more of an asset out there compared to just my bubble, because when I'd come home and see these shows or listen to this music, there was programs that, you know, MTV and BET would play, and it'd be these evolutionary hip-hop shows that would take you back in time, like the 70s or the Boogie Down Bronx and Grandmaster Caz and Kool Herc and, you know, Grandmaster Flash and African Bambaataa, Melly Mel and the Founding Fathers. And then you had, you know, the 80s, which was Eric B and Rakim and, you know, Run DMC and LL Cool J. And I'm going to drop some history right here for you guys. Not just the hip-hop heads who probably know this, but the music heads listening into this audio. From the 80s, MC Search and Third Bass and Pete Nice were the first ever white rappers to hit the scene. I'm not talking about Beastie Boys. I'm not talking about Vanilla Ice. I'm not talking about Rick Rubin, you know, with his producing skills. I'm talking about Third Bass, MC Search, you know, Pete Nice, the Gas Face, Pop Goes the Weasel. You know, if it wasn't for MC Search, we wouldn't have Nas, we wouldn't have Illmatic. So I'm going to shout MC Search out because he doesn't get enough recognition that he deserves. And I mean, his show, Ego Trips, the White Rapper Show, that was a buzz coming home to and really watching that show. I watched that show religiously when it came out. You know, the sort of corny artists like Shamrock and John Brown, King of the Burbs, and oh man, who are the other ones, like That's It and I don't know, so Sully and, you know, some other ones I can't remember, or Persia and, you know, or those other ones. But MC Search, we had them in the 80s, man, and then we had the 90s, which was people saying was the golden era because you really had to come to the circle. And, you know, if you claimed to be a rapper, you had to spit knowledge and you had to spit them bars and showcase your skills. Not like they're doing today with this whole social media and Instagram and SoundCloud buzz. There was real talent back in the 90s, man. And I could flood down a whole list of great MCs, and I'm just going to label off some, you know, like Tupac, Biggie, and Wu-Tang Clan, and Nas, and Big L, Big Pun, and, you know, the whole West Coast movement, and West Coast, East Coast, Death Row, NWA, Eazy-E, Snoop Dogg. You know, just the whole list, man, of Naughty by Nature. I could go down a whole list, and I'm getting giddy, man, because there was so much talent around that time. And the 90s, man, was a golden era. And then obviously you had the early thousands of my time. But I remember being so fixated and so entranced with this culture and this movement, you know, and like the pioneers, the fathers, man, and like the OGs, like KRS-One and Ice-T and, you know, Chuck D and Rakim and stuff. Every time someone would interview them or want to blog about them, they would preach about this authenticity and uniqueness, how hip-hop was brought up on such a unique culture and sort of a different culture of change. And I mean, you can have your influences and your idols, but if you're really mimicking what they're doing and you're not finding your own message and your own spark and your own avenue, you're really going to be frowned upon and not taken serious as a true hip-hop head and a true MC. So I mean, that was, you know, because as a 14-year-old you really want to get the money, the fame, the girls and the cars, you know. You don't really see the knowledge behind it. You just really see what's the materialistic kind of vibe and the narcissistic negativity side. But surprisingly with me, man, when I heard these pioneer fathers talk about the 5 elements and what hip-hop was brought up on, and there's more, instead of the materialistic thing, there's more the cultural about it, that really dropped the wigger kind of Eminem act. And instead of just writing about something that's more to get out my pain and mimic of dudes like I like to put their posters up on my wall or purchase their CDs at the record store, man, why don't I tell my story about how, you know, I'm dealing with depression and mental health, and talk about my inner self well-being and see where that takes me. So I mean, I started, like, you know, doing demos and just dropping down rhymes, and I mean, over the course of time I started to better my skills and better my wordplay. And when my first album, Ride or Die, was more my eternal self-well-being of myself, but when my second album, Understand Me, dropped, it was more about, why don't I write about an atmospheric aura, like, you know, give back to society, give that message back, and whoever's listening to my art and my craft, you know, maybe they can take something from it and be like, yo, like, you know, I've been through that same drama, I've been through that down, you know, that same avenue and down that same road of, you know, depression and pain. I know what he's going through and I know what I'm going through. So it wasn't just about my deep internalness, it was about, you know, whoever else was going through the same thing. And that's a powerful thing, man, like that comes to the culture of hip-hop, man, is whatever message you want to spark, it's such a positive kind of message at the end of the day. Like Public Enemy said, man, fight the power, you know? And I mean, the thing that I'm thankful at the end of the day is, one, when someone sees me and maybe they know me by name, or they've seen my page, or someone's just dropped my name across social media, or they see me in the street and they're like, yo, aren't you that hip hop dude? They know that I'm a true representation of what the culture is. And I mean, I'm not this phony kind of SoundCloud, Instagram buzz, like let's do something that's going to go viral, you know, and claim it to be quote unquote hip hop and the next rapper. They know that like I love this culture to death, and like I research it, like, you know, I learn about it, I embrace it on whatever aspect, element or avenue comes out of the culture about it. And it's crazy because sometimes when I do these type of interviews, I'm so excluded, like so, you know, across the pond, across the globe here in Australia, and then people, you know, that are in the States, you know, or even in New York, like the birthplace, and they hear me speak and they're like, dude, like you have so much knowledge behind you, whether, you know, and you're so distant and you're so far away compared to actual hip-hop artists or hip-hop heads that are here located in New York and take it for granted. Why do you have so much knowledge behind you? And I mean, what I say to that is, that's the love of the culture. That is my everyday well-being. That is my everyday person, you know? I mean, like, and I feel that makes me more of a knowledgeable, respectable MC compared to someone just doing it for a SoundCloud buzz or an Instagram buzz. I mean, it's not just a music art form, it's a cultural art form, you know? And I mean, to any hip-hop head or any, you know, kid that wants to get into it, or, you know, any aspiring hip-hop head that wants to, you know, embrace their career or get into it, do your homework, man. Like, learn where it came from. Like, learn the generations before you, like the 70s, 80s, 90s, thousands to, you know, till now, and see the evolutionary over the course of time. And I'm not just talking about rapping, I'm talking about the 5 elements, man. Like, you know, rapping, DJing, graffiti, b-boy, even the golden one, man, is knowledge. And knowledge is key when it comes to this hip-hop community, man. And that's something that really, you know, gets pushed to the sideline. People think it's 4 elements, but it's obviously 5, because knowledge is key. And I mean, like, they become so shocked, man, when I talk like this, because they're just like, you can feel it, like you can hear it in your heart that you really pursue this as a well-being, and you're not putting this on a front, like it's just like, yeah, like I'm hip-hop and stuff. Nah, like I really love this to a core, and I'm thankful for it at the end of the day, because it's crafted me into the man I am today. The way that I talk, I walk, dress, my opinionated on things, my overall self-well-being is hip-hop, man. And I always say that if somehow tomorrow I woke up and it was like dog day afternoon, and it was just literally like it somehow had vanished and it didn't exist anymore, then you've lost my identity as a person. You've lost my self-well-being to live, and that's how much I love this culture to death and what it's given me as a person. So, I mean, hopefully that took some insight to whatever artist or whatever influencer or whatever the case may be who's listening to this audio, you know, take some insight to this. But like I said, at the end of the day, man, support hip-hop to its real fullest, man. If you're from the States, you know, or if you're just from anywhere in the world and love hip-hop, man, jump on the internet, go to your local library, you know, go to your community groups, go to your, you know, I mean, like your local gigs or even like live gigs, man, and just support the movement any way you can, man, because I will say, man, instead of just trying to get that YouTube buzz, man, and be that narcissistic negative spiral, it will really make you more of an intelligent, knowledgeable MC and more of a respectable hip-hop and compared to like, you know, someone that's just rapping for the sake of it, man. And that's what will bring our culture full circle back, man, compared to what it is now. Like, the glass is half full now, man, and it's kind of a shame what it's turning into. I don't know about other genres, if, you know, like jazz or rock and roll or R&B or, you know, country are doing the same thing, but when it comes to hip-hop, man, we are really going downhill with this social media thing. I mean, like, I always say it's a 50-50 coin. One, it's good to promote. It's a great tool to promote, you know, your voice and your craft and your, I guess, your product and, yeah, I guess you can say your product, but like your business. But at the same time, I feel like the buffoonery and the stupidity, man, overshadows talent, and that's what's really damaging the culture at the moment. So, I mean, shout out, thanks again to the Manadan Nation or the Manadan Nation. Check him out, the link below, because they're doing incredible opportunities for upcoming and unsigned artists like myself have a chance to be heard. And if you want to know more about me or what I've done, or if you're an upcoming artist and want someone to check out your work and give you some feedback, or, you know, networking is key, man, then hit me up at MUGZY, MUGZY, but to worldwide viewers, that's MUGZY. Check me out, the link below, or just type it in on Facebook and I'll be the first one to come up. That's the main platform, the number one that I use. And like I said throughout this video, man, keep spawning real hip-hop, 5 elements, knowledge, and it don't stop for the rest of 2019 and onwards into the future. I'm out, guys. Peace! What's going on, people? How you doing? It's MUGZY, upcoming hip-hop artist from Sydney, Australia, of the land down under. And right now